Hey everybody, I just want to take a moment to thank all my subscribers and listeners that dedicate a little bit of time just to hear what I got to say. Thank you so much, but the struggle is real and it continues. Please spread awareness and do your part by making sure that you are subscribed and liking each of the episodes that you listen to. Share my episodes and spread awareness of my channel and what it is that I'm doing. These things, these little things right here is what helps me grow and helps sponsorship come my way, as I am a struggling ex-con. I appreciate the support, the love, and thank you so much for tuning in. More to come. Jessica.
Yes?
This is Thomas.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. Give me 1 second. Eric's 1 of 5. So.
1 of 5, huh?
Here you go. Okay, so you know Demita? Is that how you heard about me? Is that?
Well, I seen the live that she was talking, I guess, with you on the phone or however, and I came in super late. I didn't know what was going on. But what I am, I have my own organization here in the Tampa Bay area, and I also have a pretty big podcast. And what I do on the podcast is essentially a voice for the voiceless, because there's so much corruption going on.
Yes.
It's hard for anybody to really gain awareness to their own particular thing. So that's kind of where I help at is forming a show, a discussion, and just letting the viewers view it from there. So.
Yeah, so are you aware of anything what's going on with my son, or
I am not at all?
What had happened is that my son turned 18 August 1st of last year, and my son got arrested by the FBI on September 1st of last year. They arrested him, and they are charging him with 2 counts of production of child pornography, 1 count of possession. Because when he was 17, he received pictures of 2 girls that were 16 over Snapchat. So as soon as he turned 18, they arrested him, and they're charging him with 2 counts of production and 1 count of possession, and he's looking at 70 years in a federal prison. That's the story with my son.
Has he ever been in trouble before?
Nope. He's never met these girls, never asked to meet these girls, never had no criminal record. He graduated early, had a full ride to college. And he's also being held with no bond. He still has no bond. So he's still sitting in there. I'm trying to get him out since September.
Yeah, I was federal, so I'm familiar with the federal system. But he received... So he's just been arrested in September. He's been sitting in there. Has he spoken to anyone?
Just his public defender. And they're trying to get him to plead out to like 25-year plea deal, an 18-year plea deal, and he won't because he's going to go to trial.
Yes. This is this is the technique that they use. So don't let the time scare you. Yeah,
well, that's what my son said. He's like, I'd rather sit here for 2-3 years than go to federal prison for 30.
Yeah.
Because each count of production is a 15 minimum and 30 maximum. And they're charging him with 2 counts. And then the possession is a 0 to 10. So if he gets convicted, they're going to ask for 70. So they're going to ask to stack them.
Well,
the prosecutor's going to ask to stack them.
Well, this is the thing. How old was he when he got the snap? 17?
No, he started talking to these girls when he was 17. They were 16. He then rolled over to 18 and was still talking to them. So he received 2 pictures after he turned 18. He received 1 picture on August 5th, so he was 18 for 4 days, and then another picture August 14th. But he was talking to these girls when he was 17. The feds knew about him when he was 17. He got reported when he was 17.
Who reported him?
They had everything they needed. One of the girls' parents is what I'm guessing. I don't know. Because I can't really talk to him about it, but that's what I'm guessing is one of the girl's parents probably saw what she was doing or whatever. His indictment and everything, they had everything they had on him July 27th. He was still 17. They waited until his 18th birthday and then they filed all the paperwork on him. He was reported and everything. He was still 17. They sat on him and waited.
But the pictures came in when? When he was 18?
They came in when he was 17 and then there was 2 pictures, when he was 18.
What were the pictures of?
One was a girl just naked, and then another one, there's actually a video of a girl, and she's masturbating for my son.
Damn it, man.
On a video. Like, he's never seen them, he's never met them. Like, he's never, you know what I mean? Like, they don't know each other in person. And they're also charging him with interstate commerce because Snapchat servers are in California. So they're saying that he used interstate commerce to receive the pictures. Because both the girls were also in Kansas. So they're in the same state.
Yeah, none of this is going to fly.
Oh, I know it's not. That's why my son knows it. And I mean, it's, you know, it's two girls, two pictures. And I actually called the U.S. Attorney's Office here in Philadelphia because I live in Philadelphia. And the Attorney's Office here told me that, one, there's two reasons that the federal government would pick up this case. One, if it's a ring, if he's involved in something bigger.
Yes. And
he's not. Or two, if they were prepubescent, like young girls, and they caught him early, they would still pursue it.
12 or younger.
Yes. None of these apply. So they told me.
How do you know 100% that your son was not involved in more than just these pictures?
Because he told me.
But you don't know 100%.
Well, I mean, I don't know 100%, but I know he wouldn't be sitting in there, like, covering up for anybody, if that's what you mean. Like, because he said, like, you know, on his interview and everything, he stated, because they came in, here's what happened. So when they arrested him, they came in the house at, like, 5 in the morning. He was living with his dad at the time. It was his dad and his brother. What had happened was, they came in at, like, 5 in the morning. They took my ex-husband out. They took my 17-year-old son out, and then they took Eric out. They told him from the beginning, they said, look, we do not have a warrant for your arrest, which is true, because the FBI agent told me that. He said, all we have a warrant for is your electronics, your phone, your Xbox, that kind of stuff. Eric said, okay, whatever. Then they were just asking questions like, is this your phone? He's like, yes. Is this your account? He said, yes. Is this your Snapchat? Yes. Does it belong to only you? He said, yes, it's just mine, because he didn't know what was going on. He didn't understand why they were there. So he then says, you know, they ask him all the questions, like, okay, so this is just yours? He's like, yes. You know, yours alone, solely, whatever. He's like, yeah, it's just mine. Nobody else has looked at. No, it's just mine. I'm in full control of it. So then they say to him, right before he gets out of the car, they go, oh, well, we need you to open up your phone and open up your Snapchat account. So he opened it because he didn't know that he didn't have to, because all they kept telling him was, look, we don't have a warrant for your arrest. You're going to go home tonight. We're not going to take you anywhere. And right at the end, they said, but we need you to open your phone and we need your password to your Snapchat. He gave it to him and they arrested him.
Was any of that recorded?
It was all recorded. And they made him read himself his own rights. They gave him a card and said, read this. It was his Miranda rights. They said, do you understand that? He was like, no, what's going on? But because he followed the no with what's going on, he asked them a question and they therefore continued with the interview, even though he said no. He was never asked if he wanted an attorney until he was being driven to the jail. So he was driven from his house to the FBI headquarters, interviewed again without asking if he wants an attorney. And then on the way to the jail from the second interview, he was asked if he wanted an attorney.
And you say the Miranda part was recorded?
Everything was recorded, he said. My son told me that.
Where's that recording at?
He has it.
Where's it at?
My son has it.
Where, though?
It's at the Harvey County Jail.
You need to get that.
I can't get it. They won't give me any, and they said that all...
He has to, because they have it as evidence, right?
Yeah, well, no, they said because he still hasn't seen any of his discovery. He hasn't seen any of these pictures. He hasn't seen any of the text messages. He hasn't seen anything against him since he's been there. So with Demita and I, what we did is that we had him write a letter to the judge, and that's what actually got him seen into court. Right before he went to the judge, his attorney drops off the recordings and tells him, this is your discovery. Now, I have all the records that say his discovery is like 874 pages. That's his whole discovery. And his attorney told me that they have, in his whole discovery, they have 24 pictures and that one video. That's all they got on him. That's it. And all the pictures, except for two, were when he was 17. And also, his attorney told me that they section them off. So, like, boobs, they don't count. So all the pictures of just boobs, they don't count. And then they section them off to when he was under 18, so they go into the possession charge. So all they have is 5 pictures after he turned 18 of 2 girls that were 16. That's all they have on him. And 1 video that the girl sent. Everything was sent to my son. He never sent anything back. Everything that they have on him was sent to him from them.
And do you know without a doubt that these girls were just regular girls and that they weren't feds operating under the guise of young kids?
No, they're actual girls. But here's the thing. we don't know who these two girls are. They will not tell us their identity because they're victims.
Right.
Is what they're calling them.
And they're juveniles.
Everybody that I've spoken to, including a couple attorneys, have said, I guarantee you, one of these girls, especially probably the girl who reported him, her parents are somehow involved with that office. Because that's the only thing that makes sense. It's the only reason why the feds would have picked this up.
Well, this is why I asked you what I asked you, because this isn't something that the feds would pick up.
Yeah, I know.
And then to try to, the pressure that they're putting on this kid. This is why I asked the questions that I asked. Has he been in trouble before? You know, things of that nature, because the pressure that they're applying to him is somebody that they really want.
Yeah.
And what they're trying to do is hit him with all of this time to get him to plea out. That is what they're trying to do.
Oh, I know. I told him that, and he's not, because he gave me power of attorney. So he can't sign anything anyway. Even if they came to him with a plea deal and said, hey, like, we're going to let you go with time served, but you got to sign this and say you're guilty, it would be void. Because I have power of attorney over my son. For all of his legal matters, medical, everything. And that's another thing, too. When they arrested him, he had braces on. They waited 9.5 months to give him any kind of medical treatment before they took them out. But yeah, there's something going on with this case. There's something going on. And his attorney is a part of it. Because his public defender is sabotaging my son on purpose.
How?
Because I believe that he wants a job in the U.S. Attorney's office. So after my son, wrote a letter to the judge and did everything he was supposed to do, saying he wanted a new attorney, all this stuff, like he wanted pretrial release, all this stuff. So the judge agrees to give him a hearing. The Friday before his hearing was scheduled for March 22nd, which was a Tuesday, because I drove down for it. His attorney comes in and says, look, I'm sorry, like, I know I haven't been around as much, like, I don't want to, like, not be on your case, like, all this stuff. And then he tells my son that if he fights him on it, he's going to fight him to stay on his case. That he's not just going to go away. Long story short, he tells my son everything basically that he wants to hear. He's like, look, my son's like, I have to get out of here. Like, I can't prepare properly in here. I'm not taking a plea deal, whatever. The attorney says, well, look, we can use your braces, because I texted the attorney and said, look, like, he needs treatment. Like, they had an appointment for him. They just canceled it, didn't even take him. His attorney says, look, we can use that as a way to get you out at your pretrial release if you keep me on as your attorney. His attorney calls me, tells me the same thing, like, look, he's going to keep me on as his attorney, and we're going to use his braces on Tuesday to get him out, and he can get out on a medical thing. So my son agrees to keep him. Here we find out at his hearing that his attorney made him an appointment the Monday before his hearing, so they wouldn't release him. His attorney called the dentist and made him an appointment. And my son nor myself didn't know that, because the judge said, well, doesn't he have an appointment scheduled? And the lawyer said, yes, for April 17th. And both my son and I looked at each other because nobody told us that. So I called the dentist office, and the office manager told me that his attorney called and made the appointment on the 21st. So then I look at the Pacer account, and it shows on there that, yes, on the 21st of March, he did put in a hearing for pretrial release for that Tuesday, but then he canceled it the same day and never told my son or me, because I drove all the way down there thinking I was going to go pick up my son, if that makes any sense to you.
Are you going to hire an attorney?
I can't. I wanted to, but it's federal, and nobody will take it for anything less than $80,000 retainer.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. I was quoted up to $200,000 for this case. Retainer. They all tell me the same thing, like that there's something shady, something weird going on here. And they said, are you sure it's not, like, little kids, and, like, he just doesn't want to tell you? I said, that's because his indictment clearly states that the girls were 16. So, you know what I mean? Like, there's something going on. So my son just sent another letter to the judge about his pretrial release, because his attorney told him that on his status hearing that he was denied pretrial release, that he brought it up at his status hearing on the 19th of April, but he was denied. So I called probation, and probation said that he was not denied, that they're still waiting on his attorney to schedule a hearing with the judge to deny it, that his case is still open for him to come home to me, as long as I go down and pick him up personally. So since I did that,
And I told the judge, you know, like, by your own law statute, you can only keep my son for two reasons. If he's a danger to the community or a flight risk. I said he's not a danger to the community because, number one, like, he hasn't even been evaluated by any kind of doctor, nothing. So he's not a danger to anybody. Number two, he'll be 1,500 miles away from this girl in Philadelphia, and he's on a flight risk because I don't have the funds to make him disappear. You know what I mean? So what they did was they said that they're going to put him on the docket either end of this month, beginning of June, but I have to come up with a $50,000 cash bond to get him out. So I have to come up with 10%, which is $5,000, and then I have to come up with $45,000 collateral because no bondsman can take his case because he's federal.
Right. And the thing of it is the charges. It's the charges. The charges is what has that amount of.
Yep.
So
which is fine with me because my in-laws have agreed to put their house up because I live with my husband, my new husband, and we live in his, you know, it's his parents' house, but we live in it, and they're like, yeah, that's fine, we'll put up the collateral, but I still have to come up with the $5,000 cash, which is why I have a GoFundMe, the Me to GoFundMe, to try and come up with as much of that as I can because they didn't even tell me about the collateral. That's the most fucked up part, is that probation told me, like, look, if they do let him out, it's going to be a $50,000 cash bond, and you're going to need 10%. His attorney never called me and told me any of that. His attorney hasn't spoken to me in like 2 months. I found out about the collateral because my neighbor was a bond salesman, and he told me to make sure I walk in there with collateral because if not, I'm not getting him. Like, they want to keep my kid in there for something. My kid knows something that they do not want him to get out and tell me. And I guarantee you, it's whoever this girl is, I guarantee you that her father or her mother or her grandparent, somebody is personally connected to either the prosecutor himself or that office. Because they are trying like hell to keep my son locked up where he cannot speak to me without being on a recorded line. None of this, from the charges to how he's being treated, to he's the only one in the whole jail with no bond hold. And he's in the sex offender pod. So how do other sex offenders get bond and he can't? And he's 18. Like, this whole thing makes no sense. And if you shoot me your email, I will send you my son's public record, which has the indictment in it. So you can fact check everything that I tell you before you go out there and you're like, look, this kid's getting fucked over. And you help me out. I want to make sure that everybody's on the same page. Same thing I did with Demita. I want to make sure that you fully understand what is happening before you get yourself involved, because this case is tricky just because of the nature of the case. You know what I mean? Because people hear of, you know, sexual exploitation of a child and they automatically think of a child. But when you start opening up the case and you realize that he was 17, just turned 18, they were 16, none of it makes sense. None of it makes sense.
No, I mean, I definitely agree that there's power plays being involved here. My email is freemepodcast@outlook.com. Just remember FreeMe Podcast and then Outlook.
Okay.
And then you can Google FreeMe Podcast as well, and all my platforms come up, and you can see.
Yeah, I mean, I would, 100% love to, just get his story out because, I mean, Eric could literally be anybody's child, and that's what makes this case so unique is that he could be anybody's 18-year-old son who's dating a 16-year-old or dating a 17-year-old, which is not out of the realm of possibility. You know what I mean?
And see, what happens is they have programs in place in prison that they place these individuals with these chargers in, and they get X amount of dollars for these inmates that go through these programs. And it's
I heard that.
And it's a lot of money. So they have been, pedophilia charges have been through the roof in the last 5 or 10 years.
Yep.
And when I was in there, they just started bringing these people in droves. And as we were trying to get them off the compound, they started making memorandums and passing around, the warden would come around and speak to the fact that if any of these people got hurt, right, and they found out who hurt them, they were tacking on 5 years to that person's sentence. They were protecting these pedophiles because of the programs that they take them through. The same as an RDAP, these drug programs that they have in the federal system. Same thing. They protect those because of the money that they get for each person that goes through that class.
Yeah, they get $178,000. If my son gets convicted, they get $178,000 a year.
And you know who pays that, right?
We do.
So this is what I'm trying to get all Americans to understand, because these people that are sitting in the communities thinking, well, it's prison, it's criminals that don't have anything to do with me. It does, because this is the reason why we're working 60 to 80 hours, because of all of this unchecked spending, and these people are just reaping the benefits of the prison industrial system.
Yeah. And I mean, here's the thing. I know exactly, what had happened. They think, okay, 18-year-old kid, like, okay, so this is how fucked up this attorney is. Let me just tell you this from the jump, okay? My son got arrested September 1st. September 11th, his attorney calls me and says, Eric just put a plea deal in for 15 years. This is 10 days in. No discovery. Nobody knows nothing. He convinced my son to put a plea deal in for 15 years of his life. Okay? Judge denies it. The judge says, absolutely not. Like, you don't have discovery. We don't know what's going on. I'm not letting this kid sign over 15 years of his life. They wanted him to sign over 15 years of his life 10 days after he got arrested.
And that was his attorney that he currently has now?
Yep.
So then file a motion with the court to dismiss this attorney based on those grounds right there.
We did. And that's what I said. When he wrote a letter to the judge explaining everything, and his attorney came in that Friday before and convinced him to tell the judge to keep him on the assumption that if he kept him, he could get him out on pretrial release. So the judge said, do you want to keep your attorney? And his attorney said, yes, we've spoken, like he wants to keep me on. And Eric was like, yeah, I want to keep him. And then he pulled that dirty shit about making an appointment for him so he couldn't come home anyway. This attorney told my son, if you write the judge and tell him to get rid of me, I will fight you tooth and nail to stay on your case. This attorney wants this case because he wants to be in a U.S. attorney's office.
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, but it does not matter what he wants. So,
I know.
Yeah, so it's file another motion. You have to get this guy off your case.
Yeah, well, he did that. That's why I said he's supposed to see the judge either end of this month, beginning of June. And I told him he's cut all communication with his attorney. Yeah. When his attorney comes to see him, he refuses to see him.
Yes.
So I told him to do that. I said, just cut communication. Don't call him. If he comes in, don't see him. Refuse it. Just keep your shit. Because my son told him multiple times, I want to go to trial. And the last time my son told him I want to go to trial, he put a plea deal in for 18 years that the prosecution accepted it. And my son said, I never once told you to do that. I am not taking a plea deal.
The most important thing to know that you must tell your son, whenever he's on record and he's in that courtroom, do not hold your tongue. Say whatever is on your mind. It does not matter if they beat you, drug you, mace you. Make sure that you say it, you scream it if you feel that you are. And that's the thing is, if you have to go through 80 public defenders, it does not matter. They have to give you one to where you feel that you can be accurately represented. And as long as he's in there telling that judge, Your Honor, I do not feel safe with this. This man is not. I mean, there has to be a reason. You know, he just can't keep going in and firing his attorney for no reason, because they will stop that.
Oh, he understands that, but he has every reason because, like, Samita and I have basically put together a foolproof defense to get my son off these charges. And my son will not tell his attorney anything because every time my son tells his attorney something, somehow the prosecution finds out about it, and then they fix it.
And do not talk over the phone.
No, we don't.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't talk over the phone. That's why I have to get him out.
Yeah.
So I can actually get him home, and I can find out, like, look, who is this girl? What is her name? What's going on? You know what I mean? Like, I haven't been able to get anything out of my son because I don't want to incriminate my son. What I had him do for me, like after he got like the discovery because he got his interview, his dad's interview, his brother's interview, and the girl's interview. He got to hear and see all that. So what he did was he transcripted everything and wrote down word for word who said what, and then he mailed it to me. And then every time he saw his attorney, he would make his attorney sign a piece of paper about what they talked about. Because his attorney told myself, my husband, and my son that this prosecutor is trying Eric's case off of emotion and not evidence. When my son said that in front of a judge, his attorney denied it, said he never said that. So now my son makes him sign everything.
Right. Your son is smart.
Well, I'm smart because my son's a stupid 18-year-old kid.
Well, whoever's directing this is on point. So these are the things that have to be done. And you let that attorney know that you have the power. I don't know how that really works, him as an adult, but as long as that attorney, whether you do it through email or however, as long as he's put on notice that he is not to file anything without you being notified and okayed.
Every email that I send his attorney, I send to the judge. And I also send to probation. So everybody's aware.
Okay.
Like, I sent him an email and I said, look, I told my son that you lied to his face. The judge never denied him. Probation told me he was not denied, that they're waiting on you to file the motion. And I sent everything the email that I sent him, I send one to the judge, one to probation, and I print one out and I mail it to my son. So he has it.
How's your son being treated?
He's being treated fine because he's comfortable in there. That's the thing. See, they thought that he would be struggling, and I make sure my son has $150 a week on his account. So my son don't have to borrow no food, don't have to borrow no soap, don't need to borrow no underwear. He don't need nothing from nobody, which is why he's fine. He's comfortable in there, so he don't mind sitting in there for a year or 2 years waiting for the whole thing to go over. But, I mean, he's being treated fine in there, but he's a fucking child locked in a box with actual fucking baby rapers and molesters 24 hours a day. No, he's only in a pod with sex offenders. That's it.
Yeah, they have
him segregated.
Yeah, in the sex offenders pod. And
yep.
And the whole jail knows that.
Uh-huh.
The whole jail is aware of the sex offenders pod because you got people that are trying to get in there. Trust me.
I mean, even the people that are in the pod with him are telling him, do not sign shit. You have a shot. You can beat this shit. Do not sign nothing.
And tell him.
You are an 18-year-old kid with a 16-year-old victim who, technically, she shouldn't even be a victim because by the law, she could be charged just as much as my son, if not with more charges, because she produced it, she sent it, she made it. I mean, she did all this shit, and they're going to charge my son because he received it, and they're going to charge him with production because he asked for a picture. Because he asked her, send me a picture of your booty. They're charging him with production because they're saying if he wouldn't have asked for it, she wouldn't have sent it. But yet she sent all the pictures of her titties and everything on her own without my son asking for nothing. Yeah, that's how they're charging him with production, because he asked for the picture. They're charging him with production. Yeah, he never asked for a video. She said to him, after they were exchanging pictures, after he said, like, hey, send me some pictures, she said, you want to see something? He said, yeah, and she sent him a video. And that's on, his attorney told me that's on the text message.
So I don't see how he can be charged with production. I'd have to look at that charge in particular and see how
I asked, and they said because he asked for the picture. And I think he also, with one of the girls when he was 17 or something, he had said something like, I'll give you like $25 if you send me a picture of your titties or something like that.
But what I'm saying is a picture is different from a video.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I would have to read exactly how the charge is defined to understand if they include videos within are pictures, I mean, within production of that sense, of that charge. It's so, because it's...
They're saying that production, the law of production is if you coerce, threaten, or something else to get the product. So they're saying that he coerced her to send him the pictures and the video by asking her to do it.
Well, coercion is not it's not an ask, first and foremost. So you just can't, me just going in and asking where you know, for an item doesn't mean that I coerce somebody into giving me that item. It was already understood by both parties that this item was up for exchange. So there was no...
Yeah, but I think because the girl had said something, the girl had said, like, send me money, or he had said, I'll send you money, that's where they're saying the coercion came in.
Then that's coercion.
Yeah. Like, it's all in the indictment. Like, in the indictment, like, when you read it, because I want to be 100% upfront honest with you, in the indictment, there is after the 16-year-old girl reported her or whatever, they found there's a 14-year-old girl who just turned 15. But that was when my son was 16. My son was underage with whoever this 14-year-old girl is. And his attorney told me that on all the snaps that they had between each other, every girl that my son spoke to said that they were 16 or older. But the 14-year-old girl in the indictment he's only being charged with her with possession. He's being charged with the production for the two 16-year-old girls. Does that make sense?
It does. And why are these girls not being charged for using this social media platform for illicit activities as well?
I said that, and they said because they're victims. They're victims. My son's a predator. Case closed. Because by law, they should be charged as well. But they're not. They're victims, so they get to live their life. While my son lost his free ride to college. His whole life is ruined now.
It's not that it's ruined, it's just altered.
Yeah. So, you know, this whole thing is just garbage, and it's crap, and they know they have nothing. And the one attorney that I spoke to up here, he said, what it sounds like to him, he said that most likely they're going to make him sit there for a year to a year and a half, and then they're just going to, like, give him time served, so he'll sign a piece of paper saying he's guilty, so they can't be sued. Because they don't know what to do with him right now, because what I think happened is, I think that they thought he was his father. Because his father has the same name. He's a junior. And all the emails that were made under that account were under my ex-husband's name. So I think that they saw this 40-year-old man, a profile of this 40, thought it was his dad, and found out that it was the kid. And now they don't know what to do with him.
I would say if it was the state, maybe, but the feds don't make mistakes like that. The feds. The state
wanted the case. The state said, we'll take it. Feds were like, nope, we want it.
Yeah. And so they knew it was him. Trust me. When I say that, trust me. The feds, when the feds arrest you, they already have enough evidence on you, and they're ready to take you to trial in that moment.
Yeah.
That's how the feds work. The state is different.
He got indicted by a grand jury for this. A grand jury indicted my son.
Well, that's how the feds are. I mean, I was indicted by a grand jury as well. And see, with my case, where the corruption ensued at was in the grand jury itself, because they had no evidence on me. Zero. They didn't even know about me until the person that they arrested started cooperating against me. But the difference was that we were arrested at the same time. So how did they get a grand jury indictment against me if all the evidence they had against me was the person they arrested with me at the same time?
Yeah.
And I fought tooth and nail to try to get my grand jury testimony. Even though that I went to trial, they told me I'm still not privy to it. So I have
Yep.
no idea what was said in front of those people in order to get me indicted. This is where all the corruption is at.
I asked for that, the meeting of the minutes, to find out how many indicted him and, you know, what was said, and his attorney looked at me like I had 17 heads on how I even knew that existed.
Right.
And he still hasn't seen it. And I told his attorney, I said, look, I said, he needs to see his discovery. And he's like, well, he can't see it because there are pictures, it's illegal. I said, yeah, but nobody knows what came off my kid's phone but my kid. So for all you know, they could have pictures of 3-year-old babies in that pile. And my son's the only person who knows if that picture came off of his phone. And they will not show him nothing. They will not show him anything that they have on him. Nothing. Not even the text messages between them.
Well, I've recorded this whole phone call, and I'll probably turn this into the show right here.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. But I mean, if you could help me out though with like maybe giving like a shout out to his page that Demita made. So because I have the travel expenses to go pick him up because I have to physically go back and get him if he gets pre-trial release at the end of the month. But I'm having a little bit of trouble coming up with that $5,000 bail. I got 2 out of the 5. So if you could help me out with that, I'd appreciate it.
Well, what I'll do is go ahead right now and lay out exactly what you just laid out there, but just lay it out in how to get to that link. I'll put the link in the descriptions and stuff. But just lay out exactly, what is it, a GoFundMe?
It's a GoFundMe, and it's Justice for Eric. And his picture is him in his graduation cap and gown. You know, you'll know it's him when you click on the link for Justice for Eric, because he needs to come home. Like, he needs pre-trial release because Demita and I are basically his attorneys right now. And we cannot properly defend him while he's sitting in a box. Because if he doesn't get home, he's never going to beat this case. As stupid as it is, if he's left in there, he's never going to beat it. He has to be out. He has to come home. I mean, he's an 18-year-old child. Like, he's not a grown man.
Well, my cousin and one of the sponsors of my show is a federal attorney herself. So I'm going to send her this and have her listen to it and get maybe some advice on what she hears from there.
I'm driving right now, but as soon as I pick up my neighbor, I'm going to email you his public records so you can see the indictment, you can read everything, because like I said, I want to be 100 with everybody. Like, I don't want anybody to think this is anything other than what it is. So if you want to pass that whole file over to her, you have my permission to do so. As many people as I can get to help me get my son home, I'm willing to do whatever I need to do.
Yeah, we have to. First and foremost, we have to get him out, because that's the only fair shot at any kind of trial that he's going to get. He's not going to get a fair trial being in prison, being in jail. At all. So we definitely have to get him out there. I'll add the link. I'll get the link to the GoFundMe. Add that in the description.
Yeah, I'll send it to you.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll send you the link so you can post it up, and then you have my number. So if there's anything else that you need from me, or if anybody has any questions, I mean, they can either reach out to you and you can reach out to me, or my messenger is still up. I did get rid of my social media because I was told by probation that it's probably in my best interest for my son to come home. Because I had to agree to, home monitoring for him, which is fine, but I also had to agree to let the feds put some kind of software in my router to keep track of my internet usage. So there's nobody in my home has social media anymore, but I still have my messenger up, and it's under Jessica Maloney. It's Meloney. So if anybody has any questions, feel free to contact me or you or, Demita. However, however you want to handle it.
Dang, so and that's the thing, and the court will ban his internet for life.
Yep.
Like he'll have no computer access. If he was caught on a public computer somewhere and somebody knew it, they could call the police and have him charged with that.
Yep, and he'd have to register, too, for the rest of his life. He'd never be able to pick up his own children from school.
Yeah.
He'd never be able to take his own child to a playground.
Yeah.
He's a 3-year-old brother who's in the car with me right now that he would never be able to have an actual relationship with, because if he gets found guilty or if he takes a plea, he's ruined.
Well, it's everything. He will never have a career in anything. He'll always have a bottom end job, if he ever had a job, because nobody would hire him as soon as they did a background check and saw the charge. His whole life would be very, very monumentally difficult.
Yeah, I know. And
it's all just at a political game. That's all it is. It's all for a corrupt prosecutor and a whole process, a corrupt process. So
yeah.
I've shown in my podcast time and time again, these people do not care about us. They do not care about the communities. All they care about is feeding their agenda, which is keeping the prison industrial system full, churning, and making the money that it's making so that they can send the money wherever that they send it from and live in their big houses and all of that. Meanwhile, we're expected to keep working, keep paying taxes, and when we lose our children to the system, we're expected just to comply with it.
Yeah, well, like I told Demita the first time I met her, and if you call her, she'll verify this, they're not taking my child. They cannot have my child. Absolutely not. Like I had told everybody from the jump, if this was a case where, it was an 11-year-old girl, a 10-year-old girl, a 12-year-old girl, you and I would be having a completely different conversation right now, because then there would be something upstairs with my son that's not right. I would still be fighting for my son, but I wouldn't be fighting for him to get out. I'd be fighting for him to get the right kind of help. That is not what happened. My son was a 17-year-old teenager, a normal teenager, talking to other teenage girls that are in his dating pool that he could legally have sex with in the state of Kansas, because the age of consent is 16 to have sex. And he committed a crime that he did not know that he was committing. Because in what world would anybody hand over their phone, hand over all their information to an FBI agent knowing that they had something illegal on their phone? He would have never done that.
He shouldn't have done it from the start. He should have, but we don't know these things.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's not a criminal.
The common citizen don't know these things, and more importantly, the message in this right here is stop using these social media platforms for personal use.
Yep. Because he's not some mastermind, he put the email in his own email, his own name. It led him right to it. He's not some criminal mastermind that was, you know what I mean? He's a child. They can tell me all day, well, he's 18, he's an adult. Okay, that's great. But if my son walks into a bar right now, he's a child. If he walks into a casino, he's a child. Don't tell me one situation he's an adult, and then in another situation he's a child. What is he? He's either an adult or he's a child. And he's an 18-year-old child that's never been in trouble, had a good path, a good future. He was going to be a child psychologist. That's what he was going for before all this happened. Worked his ass off for a scholarship, a full ride, and it all got taken away from him for something stupid. If I have to go out, beg, borrow, and steal to come up with the rest of this bail money, I will do that. My son will be home with me.
I'm just curious on how this investigation was even conducted and ran, because he was not doing anything illegal when it was brought to their attention, but yet they continued the investigation, more than likely because, like you said, they knew he was getting ready to turn 18 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And they knew that
he never shared it either.
And he
never shared anything. He never posted anything. He never did anything with the pictures. He kept them. He never sent them out to his buddies. Nothing.
And he was getting ready to turn 18 years old, and they knew that this relationship wasn't going to stop.
Yep.
So they continued the investigation, knowing that here in a few months, they were going to be able to charge this person.
Not a few months, a few days.
A few days.
They had all their information on July 27th. They had everything they needed to arrest him. They waited for 3 days, and then they filed the paperwork.
Well, because they didn't, they knew they couldn't arrest him then.
No, they didn't arrest him until September 1st. He turned 18 August 1st.
Right.
But they filed all the paperwork on his birthday of August, when they could have just kicked it to the state, and the state told me that he would have got 30 days probation and a $300 fine. If they would have kicked it to the state when he was 17, when they knew about him. And they did not. I'm telling you, there's something going on here, and it's a lot bigger than my son. And to also make you a point that my son is also the youngest person ever to be convicted this way federally. For an 18-year-old to be convicted on a 16-year-old, it's never happened. There's no other case. He's the only one to be tried this way. So if they're trying to make an example out of him, I don't know. But my son is looking at 70 years for a non-violent crime that he didn't even know this girl. And the second thing is that in the state of Kansas, they have a law, and you can look it up. It's called the teen sexting law. They made this law because this is not a new occurrence between teenagers. They do it all the time. Under the teen sexting law, my son, Paul, is for ages 12 to 19, so they do not get caught up in this kind of crime. They can either be charged at the state level or federal, according to the prosecutor, however they want to pursue it. My son falls under the teen sexting laws, and the prosecutor is refusing to charge him that way. And you can look it up. Look up the teen sexting laws of Kansas, and my son falls right in there.
Yeah, I'm reading it now.
Yep. He falls right in there.
So it says, this is House Bill 2501, and it's an act concerning crimes, punishment, and criminal procedure creating the crimes of unlawful transmission of a visual depiction of a child and unlawful possession of a visual depiction of a child, relating to blackmail, breach of privacy, jurisdiction and venue, crime committed with an electronic device, prohibiting offender registration for certain crimes.
What's the matter? Yeah.
New section 1A, unlawful transmission of a visual depiction of a child is knowingly transmitted a visual depiction of a child 12 or more years of age, but less than 18 years of age in a state of nudity when the offender is less than 19 years of age.
Yep, and there's also one in there where it says where the victim sent the picture themselves. There's also one in there where it says where the child sent the picture of themselves. But he falls under that category, and the prosecutor will not charge him that way. He's charging him as an adult in federal court for sexual exploitation of a child. 2 counts and a thing of possession. And when you read the indictment, you'll see that my son falls under those teen sexting laws. They had them made because this is a problem. Kids do this all the time. My son's not the original. He's not the first one to go, oh, you have a phone? Show me a picture of your boobs. Like, I guarantee you he's not the first.
Well, it says here in E that the provisions of this section shall not apply to transmission of a visual depiction of a child in a state of nudity by the child who is the subject of such visual depiction.
I'm telling you, the whole thing is just all messed up.
Okay, well, go handle your business because he needs attention.
Yeah. He's over here having a fit. So, yeah, just call me back if you need anything else.
Okay.
All right? And I appreciate it. I sent you that link, so if you could help me out with that, I'd appreciate it.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Have a good day. Be safe.
You too. Bye-bye.
Hey, what's going on?
I'm good. How you doing?
Man, I'm blessed, man. I'm blessed. Eric, right?
Yeah.
Hey, so how are you doing?
I'm all right. I've been better, but I'm just chilling. Really haven't done much. Been playing cards all day.
Yeah.
How are you doing?
Man, I'm okay, man. This is about you, So I'm just first and foremost, like, how are you being treated in the dorm? You're in what kind of dorm are you in?
I don't know. I'm in Harvey County. I got pods. It's like a pod.
And it's a federal hold?
Yeah, it's federal hold. Up next to the state that.
Okay. Now, I don't want to discuss. I've been thinking this whole time about what to really talk about it. I really don't want to discuss anything about the case because I know that this phone is being recorded, right? And one thing I want you to know, I went through federal trial. Okay, I went through a 10-day federal trial. Anything that you say on this phone, your prosecutor is going to get on his desk, and he's going to listen to every word that you say on this phone from the whole time that you're in there.
Yeah.
Okay? And he's going to look for anything to use against you, even if you say something that he can manipulate. This is what he's going to do.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, what they did with me is they moved me to different places all over the state. And they were putting plants, they were putting rats in different places so that when I showed up, these rats would come to me and act like they were my friends and things like that to try to extort information out of me, which they did because I was completely ignorant to it. And they did. And it really messed me up because I had a motion that would have thrown the whole case out. But I trusted somebody who was on my case, and I didn't know him, but he was on my case. I didn't even know he was on my case. But they moved me halfway across the state and put me in a pod with him, and he came up and just befriended me, So do not trust anybody about anything, and get rid of this attorney, right? Because these people play a serious game, okay? They're trying to take your life.
Yeah.
That's what this is. This is a game of life right now, Eric. And these people are playing chess with your life. And at the end of the day, all they care about is a conviction. Because that prosecutor wants to take your conviction and stick it in his file so that when it comes for a chance for him to earn a little bit more money, he can say, I have this many convictions and all of this stuff. This is all that these disgusting human beings care about. So this is a game of your life, and it's very, very critical because one mistake can cost you your life, or at least half of it trying to undo what that mistake did. So get rid of this attorney because this attorney has already shown that that your interest is not his concern. Am I correct with that?
Yeah, I told him, babe, everything that's been going on with the attorney. So he knows everything about how he sabotaged you getting out with your braces, just everything.
Well, the biggest thing is him going in and trying to coerce you into a plea bargain 10 days after you've been arrested without you even seeing your discovery or any of that. That right there is a no-brainer. You're out of here. So it's telling the judge exactly that. That is the reason why I don't trust my attorney and I want a new attorney. There's nothing else to discuss. Eric, you have to remember, you are protected by the Constitution of America, no matter what these people say. Okay? They have a job and they have to do things the right way. Even though that a lot of times they don't, you'll always have a chance when your constitutional rights have been violated. So as long as you stay in the confines of your constitutional rights, which is to a right to a fair trial, you have the right to a fair trial. And what that means is that you have the right to an attorney that is going to defend you in all accordance of the law. Defend you. You're the boss, Eric. These people do not tell you what to do or suggest anything to you. You tell them.
Yeah.
And that's the bottom line. And I know you're young. It's scary. And these people are very intelligent and articulate, and they manhandle people all day, every day. They are skilled technicians at what they do.
Yeah.
But they don't have your mom.
And they don't have, listen, and they don't have us. There's plenty of people out here who have much experience. Like I say, I spent 13 years in the feds. I know these people's game. They locked me up under conspiracy with no evidence of anything whatsoever.
Yeah.
So I know their game, and I know how they play it when they don't have anything. So it's just protecting yourself. You talk about nothing to no one, even your mom on this phone. I gave your mom instructions on how to work around some of this stuff. So however she can get that to you.
Okay.
But
Yeah, we don't talk about anything over the phone except for just normal, how are you, what do you do type of stuff. We know that.
Yeah. Eric, they're trying to pin this on you, and they're going to look for any way to do that. Any way. You trust nothing nobody says until we get you a new attorney, and your mom sits down with that attorney, and maybe I can even be privy to the call, or maybe even Demeter, one of us, and we'll get a feel of that attorney to know whether they're with you or not. Because all they'll do is just take this public defender out and stick you with another public defender of the same manner.
Yeah.
Because you can only ask for counsel so many times, and they know that. So when they have 5 counsel in their pocket, they'll just rotate those 5. And then after about the 3rd time, the judge is going to tell you, well, no, you're kind of stuck with this one.
Yeah.
So these are the games that they play.
Okay. I got you.
Now, even though Mitch told you that if you get rid of him, he's going to fight you to stay on your case, you need to get rid of him. To use so many times to get you to keep him on your case when we had the chance to get rid of him, and I told you not to because he said that you'd come home if you didn't.
Do we have that in recording, him saying that, by chance?
No, well, I mean, he talked to my son, like I said, the Friday before, and he said, like, yeah, you can definitely, go home on pretrial release because of your mail. And he knew that I was coming down for that. He knew that Eric was asking for that. He told him that if you say you don't want me, then there's no way they're going to give you pretrial release because you're not going to have an attorney. So if you want to go home, you have to keep me. Right? Is that what he told you, babe?
Yeah.
So he kept him, and in opening statements, the judge had said, okay, well, like, do you want to keep your attorney? What's going on? And he said, yes, I want to keep him. We talked. And he said that, he would help me out, and he would come see me more, and he would do this, and he would do that. And then it jumped into pretrial release, and then he told him he didn't think he needs to go home.
Oh, I got that letter, but I got it.
Okay, did you mail it out?
I'll mail it out tonight.
Mail it out tonight. So sign it and date it.
Probably get it out tomorrow when I get it for it.
Well, that's fine, but you have to sign it, and you have to date it.
I know.
Okay. He's sending another letter to the judge about his pretrial release date, trying to get himself. We're trying to get him his own hearing because his attorney said that he couldn't get one. Did your attorney say? Your attorney said that you wanting to go home is not a reason to have a hearing? Is that what he said to you?
Yeah.
Eric, do you have...
He's not going to put the motion in for him. He asked him to put the motion in, and he said no.
Well, any communication with this attorney from this point on is done in writing. And make sure that that anything that's decided upon is in writing, because you just can't trust him, and you know that he's not for your defense. Are they giving you access to the law library?
Yeah, we do, but it's kind of broken right now. It's on a touch screen.
It's
worked Sunday and it up the other day. Oh, let me see if it's down right now. It doesn't work.
How long has it been down?
About 2 weeks, maybe.
The law library. What county jail are you in?
Harvey County.
Harvey County in Wichita, Kansas?
It's in Newton, Kansas.
Newton, Kansas. Okay. And so the law library has been down for 2 weeks, and you have no access. Yeah. So when the law library goes down, those inmates have no access to any type of legal work whatsoever?
Yeah, no access. Yeah, no. There's like zero. Like,
Okay.
if I'm clicking on it right now, and it's a blank screen.
Okay. All right.
Now, when I first got here, it was down for like the first 5 months.
It was down for the first 5 months.
Yeah, and then they fixed it randomly, and then I guess it just broke again.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
Okay. Well, I have a podcast. It's a pretty big podcast.
Okay.
It's a pretty big podcast. I got a lot of supporters, and I deal with organizations all over the country.
Okay.
And we're trying to bring down this corrupt justice system that has been in place for so long, to take advantage of people like you, people like me, things of that nature.
Yeah.
We've come to a point, Eric, to where these prosecutors put egregious amounts of charges on individuals to coerce them into pleading out, because they know that, 1, trial probably isn't sustainable, 2, they don't have enough evidence to go to trial, and 3, the whole agenda is to convict as many people as they can, because that's how they control the vote. So they'll put these astronomical amount of charges on an individual to coerce them and scare them into a plea. This is why your attorney, the first thing that he did was want to get you to plea out. This is what the attorneys do, right?
Yeah.
They come in and they try to coerce you into taking a plea. So the attorney and the prosecutor will work together, and the attorney will make a deal with the prosecutor, maybe get you to plea out so he can get a more significant case, a little bit less time on that case, or however these people work this stuff out. But the bottom line is they don't care about us.
Yeah.
That's not all of them. But when they show their colors, you have to read people, Eric. You have to read people. You have to look them in their eyes. You have to listen to what they say. You can tell a lot. You can tell a lot by looking into a person's eyes and reading the person.
I've learned that since I've been in here with multiple different things, people and everything.
You have to know that any person that comes to you and asks you about your case is suspect, right? Anybody that comes and wants to trade soups with you or whatever is suspect. You have to know the agenda of everybody around you and why they are approaching you, because you are under attack from all areas. Does the dorm have cameras in there?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, there's none in here.
Your mail is going to be monitored as well.
Yeah, my mail's been monitored. I mean, my mom, I got mail. They said it got here on the 13th. I didn't get it till last night.
But other than that,
yeah.
how are you doing mentally? Are you?
I mean, I'm good. I mean, majority, I'm just hanging in there. You know what I mean? I mean, I'm just hanging in there, just waiting. No feeling what to do. That kind of makes sense.
What is your day? What does your day look like?
I wake up at 4 in the morning, eat cereal, go back to bed, and then I go to rec every day, and I play cards all day, and wait for dinner, lunch and dinner. That's it. I mean, I just play cards all day, really.
Yeah.
I'm get an hour at rec. That's about it. That's really all I do.
Do you work out at rec?
I do, yeah. I do. It's the only thing to really do. I mean, I don't play basketball. I play that basketball.
Well, anything to exert energy, because that is what's going to keep you sane. That's what's going to it's going to keep you sane. It's going to keep that aggression down in you. You know what I mean? It's you have to exert that energy. So whether it's push-ups, you know what I mean? Even if you're in your cell, if you start feeling anxious, worried, scared, anything like that, do push-ups. Just wear it out of you. That's all I used to do. When I was in solitary confinement, I would sit there and I would do push-ups. I would do 2,000 push-ups a day throughout the day, you know, just to keep that stress down. So don't become overwhelmed, anything like that. My phone is open to you, partner, anytime that you need to talk to somebody about anything.
Okay, I gotcha. I'll remember that. And your name is Tom?
Thomas.
Right?
Yeah, Thomas. Thomas FreeMe.
Thomas? Okay, I gotcha. Gotcha. Well, I'm Eric, obviously.
How's the food quality?
It's pretty shit. I mean, it's not great. I mean, it's what you expect, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's what you expect. Yeah, it doesn't change. It's the same thing every week. Just different days.
How's the health in the institution as far as this COVID, as they call it, or whatever?
They don't do nothing about it here. They don't do nothing about it here. I remember when we got locked down for COVID, they let everyone out for 1 hour, so there was no point of the lockdown, really. But yeah, they let people who had it out for 1 hour, touch everything out to everybody else. So I mean, it really didn't do nothing. They don't do nothing about it, really.
Yeah, because they know it's a lie.
Yeah, they really don't do nothing about it. They really don't do anything here, really.
But take the taxpayers' money. That's it. It's a warehouse. That's all it is. The county jails are warehouses for the prosecutors to feed through and get rid of the ones that they don't want, and the ones they do want, they convict and send off to a bigger warehouse. That's all this system is.
Yeah.
That's all this system is.
Yeah.
The whole time, how long have you been in there?
8 or 9 months, something like that. I think 8 months.
In the same pod?
Yeah, same pod, same area, I haven't left.
So, how many people have you seen come and go in that pod?
Oh, like 4 or 5 maybe.
So that's not a big transition pod where people come and go?
Not really, because usually it's a lot of sex cases get pushed back a lot.
How many people?
And it's a mixture. It's a mixture of state and fed in here.
Really?
Yeah, we're all mixed in.
That's something they're not supposed to do either.
Oh, yeah?
No.
Segregate?
No, well, they're not supposed to mix state inmates and federal inmates together at all.
Oh, well, that's what they do. In here, that's what they do.
That is another unconstitutionality. That is very illegal, because that state inmate can attack you and then sue the federal government.
Yeah.
They were doing it all the time in the county jails.
Yeah. I believe it.
A lot of illegalities and a lot of unconstitutionalities for something that you want to call a justice system.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I understand it. But yeah, they really don't do much here. I mean, it's
so no law library, and they got you mixed in with state inmates.
Yep. Since the very beginning, since I've been here, apparently they do it all the time, even before I got here.
And see, the taxpayers pay for the federal government to separate federal inmates. The federal government is giving that jail, there's a contract with the federal government for that jail to house federal inmates.
Yes.
And that's being violated. That contract's being violated because they're supposed to keep you separate.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's interesting.
Believe me, I know, partner. This is what my podcast is just showing all of this, showing the American people what's really going on and where their taxpayers are going. So when they're out here working 60, 80 hours every week, these are some of the reasons why. Because they're just warehousing people and sucking the money out of the American people.
Yeah.
But I bet you your prosecutor on your case doesn't care about that, though, does he? He's not going to go after that.
No.
No, of course not. What's your prosecutor's name? Jason Hart. Okay.
Yep. H-A-R-T.
H-A-R-T as in Thomas?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Eric. Is there anything you want to say, partner?
Nothing right now, really. I mean, I was just playing cards. I got nothing really to think right now. I mean, I got that letter I got sent out tonight or tomorrow.
Yeah.
Explaining, so. But no, I mean, but thank you for talking to me. I appreciate it.
Anything I can do, man.
No.
Because like I said earlier, one mistake can kill everything. And a lot of cases have been taken down on the spade table, partner.
Yeah.
People sit around and play spades and talk about their cases and things of that nature. Do not do that.
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
Okay.
I know. Yeah, I'm trying to. They told me, a lot of people here told me that, like, if my thing was state, I would have been, like, probation. That's what it is. Like, I don't know. Like, there's no reason for it to really become federal.
Well, no, and that's why this what I don't understand. There's an agenda behind this for some reason. This is why I say it's very important that you do not make a mistake, Eric, because there's something behind this. This isn't something that the feds would pick up unless there's something behind it that you don't know. There's a reason. The federal government do not make mistakes, Eric.
Yeah, I know.
They do not make mistakes. These people are precise, okay? There's a reason why they're charging you and trying to give you all that time.
Yeah.
So,
well, hopefully figure it out.
In the meantime, partner, just sit in there, play cards, shut up, and sleep, work out. That's it.
Yep. That's my usual daily thing. So, we only got a minute left, so I'll call you. I'll give you a call some other time. Just keep an eye out for it.